hear our prayer. Let us pray. Gracious Lord, we ask that your presence is felt in the world where there is conflict, civil strife and persecution. We particularly pray for places that we see daily on the news in the Middle East and in Ukraine. We especially pray for the success of this pause in fighting, the return of hostages and prisoners. And we pray for a lasting peace with justice for all. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. Lord, we bring before you our nation as we adjust to this autumn statement. We bring before you the tensions and uncertainties facing us at the moment. Help us to realize that you are a certainty on which we can rely. We bring before you political leaders of parties of all opinions and ask that their debates and their differences may be held and put forward without rancor and bitterness, and so helped to bring the nation together in a spirit of tolerance. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. And we bring before you, Lord, our community, and we ask that you'll be present in all the activities in these forthcoming weeks. We pray that these events will encourage people to come into the town and help businesses prosper. We look forward to the events of Christmas, but help us always to remember those for whom this will not be a good time: the poor, the homeless, those who are ill, and those who are facing this time in the shadow of bereavement. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. Please, would you join me in the Lord's Prayer in its traditional form? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Lord, we ask that you will guide this council of Newcastle-under-Lyme and the deliberations and decisions of this meeting. Amen. Amen. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. You're happy, so we can start. Yeah. Do we have to be exactly on 7? Yeah. Okay. A few more minutes, please.
One minute to 7.
Thank you. Ready?
10 seconds.
10 seconds. 10 seconds.
It's from beyond.
Okay, good. Excellent. Welcome, members, to this meeting. Welcome those members of the public and press who have joined us this evening by YouTube when we are hosting a live stream on our processings this evening. I'll wait for everybody to be seated before I carry on. I'll start again for the latecomers. Welcome, members, to the meeting. Welcome those members of the public and press who have joined us this evening by YouTube, where we are hosting a live stream on our proceedings this evening. If members want to remove their jackets, they can do so. Good evening, members. Before we begin, I need to go over the usual housekeeping rules. There are no fire drills planned for this evening, so if the fire alarm sounds, please leave the building by the nearest exit and assemble in the Queen's Gardens at the front of the building. Please do not re-enter the building until you're advised to do so. I would like to remind members of protocols around speaking during this meeting. No member should speak until invited to do so by myself. If you wish to speak, please could I ask you to raise your hand high until you have been acknowledged. Please would all members in the room use their microphones whenever they speak, as without them, anyone watching online will not be able to hear you. To use the microphone, please press the button at the front of your centre and invited to speak, and wait a moment for the light on your microphone to come on. Please remember to turn off your microphone once you have finished. Please could I ask at the end of the meeting to make sure that you take all your belongings and waste with you. Thank you. We will now commence with business this evening. Agenda item 1, apologies. Turn to the agenda now, members, and start with agenda item 1. I have apologies from Councillor Simon Jones and Lillian Barker. Do we have any further apologies, please?
Apology from Councillor Annabel Lawley.
Lawley. Thank you. The next item agenda on the item is item number 2, declarations of any interest. Are there any declarations of interest from any members or officers in relation to any items of business contained with this agenda? No. Agenda item 3, members, it is to approve the minutes of the meetings held on the 20th of September 2023. You will find those minutes on pages 5 to page 13 of your agenda. Can both sets of minutes please be agreed?
Move them, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I am making a number of announcements this evening. Firstly, I am delighted to let you know that my charity ball held in October raised a fantastic amount of £27,126. I would like to officially thank all sponsors, contributors, and people attending for their support in raising such an amount. In addition to this, my mayor's fireworks display the night after raised another £3,000. So a good weekend all in. Moving on, I have my Christmas carol service at St Giles Church on Sunday, the 17th of December at 6 p.m. at St Giles Church, and invite you all to attend. Please could you let my secretary know as soon as possible if you are attending. Finally, some members may have stopped receiving emails. This has occurred due to a licence change restricting mailbox sizes. Please could all members regularly clean out any unwanted or deleted or sent emails, please. Thank you. Members, we now turn to the first substantive item of business on this evening's agenda, which is the appointment of a monitoring officer. A copy of the report and associated papers can be found on pages 15 to 17 of your agenda. Councillor Simon Tagg, will you please now introduce the report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Pleasure to move that Anthony Harold is appointed as our council's monitoring officer. Remember at our last meeting, or was it the meeting before, we appointed an interim monitoring officer following the position of head of legal and governance and monitoring officer being vacant. Since Anthony asked him how long he'd been with us, and he's flown by, it's a month already in his position as head of legal and governance. He's been deputy monitoring officer to Barbara, of course, Barbara Beardwell, who we appointed as an interim. So tonight, it's quite right now that we appoint our officer, who's been through a selection panel of members to be appointed from a very strong field for this position. And as I say, I move the recommendations in accordance with S5 of the Local Government and Housing Act 1989, that this council appoints Anthony Harold as the council's monitoring officer. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Sweeney, would you like to second the motion?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Anthony's been here for a month now. I think he's got his feet under the table and has become one of the team in the officers sort of area, and he's very welcome to us, and it's a good addition to the to the council. Welcome him here, and I'm more than happy to second. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Anybody would like to speak? In relation? No, thank you. Okay. Yep, we'll move to the vote. Thank you, Councillor Sweeney. Members, we are now moved to the debate on this item. Can I ask you to indicate by raising a hand if you wish to speak, which we've already done, so I'm repeating the lines. Let's turn the page quickly. Here we are. Councillor Tagg for a final right of reply. No?
Nothing to say, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Yes, all those in favour? Can you raise your hand high, please? Unanimous, thank you. Can we give you a round of applause, please? Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Members, we now turn to the next item of business on this evening's agenda, which is an appointment to committees. A copy of the report can be found on pages 19 to 25 of your agenda, and a supplementary report has been tabled this evening. Councillor Simon Tagg, will you please now introduce the report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Report and, of course, supplementary, which we've received also. I think on picking to the main report, obviously brought about by the change to the Cabinet, I'd like to welcome Craig Scalding to the Cabinet, and also pay warm tribute to Jill Waring, who stood down as the Cabinet member. And thank you for your time. You were one of the original Cabinet members that came in December 2017. And I know you've had a tough time over the last year or so, but you're fighting back strong and still obviously here tonight with us, and welcome back. But as I say, welcome Craig, obviously already taken up the role about a month ago now, isn't it? And working on that heritage and sports and leisure, which he's got his teeth into, and I'm sure he will do us proud as a Cabinet member on behalf of all councillors. Second part of the report is some changes to committees, which I'm happy to support on behalf of the Labour group there, relating to changes to the I've lost where it is now on here, but there are some, I'm sure. And then we move to supplementary, which has been brought about by the obviously Councillor Beeston becoming an independent councillor. So we need to tidy up some of the appointments around that. As it says in the report, I've spoken with Councillor Beeston, and a preference would be the planning committee. Now, if we look at the makeup of the council now and the balance, it's very the chief exec can't give us a recommendation between the two because they're so very close on the balance. So it's up to us as members to decide, and the Conservative group would like to support Councillor Beeston to be a member of planning. That would obviously require a Labour group member to come off, as you'll see in the recommendations. I would leave that to them to do that, but I would move first of all the main report, which is to move the appointments of the replacement cabinet and the associated changes associated with that. And on the second report, I would like to move that Councillor Beeston be appointed to the planning committee. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. Councillor Sweeney, would you like to second the motion?
Yeah, I'd love to second it, Mr. Mayor, but I'd also like to say what an absolute pleasure it is to see Councillor Waring back here and looking so well. And it is absolutely tremendous news, I think, for everybody here. But as to the rest of it, yeah, I'll just second everything else that Councillor Leader said. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sweeney. Members, we now move to the debate on this item. Can I ask you to indicate by raising a hand if you wish to speak? Councillor Holland? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very happy to say that I'll be supporting the leader in what is proposed in relation to the supplementary that's been issued. I have to say, you wait all year for an opportunity to refer to the Local Government and Housing Act 1989, and then two opportunities come along at once. This is section 15 of the Act, and section 15 provides for political proportionality on committees. I have done a small quantity of maths, and by my figures, it is more proportional to have Councillor Beeston sitting on planning than it would be to have Councillor Beeston sitting on licensing. In the event that the Labour group were to lose a position on the licensing committee, that committee would be underrepresenting the Labour group on this council by fractionally more than one seat, which seems to me to be a bad idea. So on the basis that I've run the numbers, I think that the decision the leader has reached is the correct one, and I will be voting for that if there is a vote specifically on that supplementary element of it. Of course, the rest of the items are there for us to note. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Holland. Councillor Fox-Hewitt. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before I get to the substantive, I'd like to also thank Jill Waring for her service on Cabinet. You have been a real fantastic Cabinet member and somebody that we have a great deal of respect for. And to acknowledge your recent struggles and to pass on the best wishes of the Labour group. Your personal strength through this has been incredibly powerful and an inspiration to all of us. Just before I raise the items on this paper, I just wonder if it would be reasonable at this juncture to allow the Chief Executive to comment on the paper that has been prepared tonight, because I've just heard from two members a disagreement with what is presented here in the paper, and I think it would be right for the Chief Executive to be able to comment on that. If possible, Mr. Mayor, could I come back for a few minutes after that to enable the Chief Exec just to clarify that point?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, members. I ran through this at a meeting, couple of meetings ago, and I'll run through the process again. So the rules around proportionality require that across the totality of committee seats, the number of seats allocated to each group be as close as practical to the proportion of each group on the council as a whole. And also on each committee, the number of seats allocated to each group be as close as practical to the proportion of each group on the council as a whole. So the council currently has got 79 committee seats, and the proportionality in order to reflect the current makeup of the council would now be that the Conservatives get the makeup of the council at the moment is that the Conservatives have 25 members, Labour have 18, and the Independent, there's one Independent. So there's two matters that are addressed in the report. One is the allocation of seats across committees, across the groups, if you like. And then the second is which committees are best placed to reflect the amended new proportionality. So the change in proportionality means that across this, there are 79 committee seats for the council. And across those 79, in order to reflect the new proportionality, Labour's allocation is reduced by 1. So Labour's overall allocation of seats goes from 34 to 33. The Conservative allocation stays the same at 45 seats, and the Independent members entitled to 1 seat, which is in line with how we've handled other single independents in the past. In terms then of which committee is most impacted, this is really a very fine margins in this. So the proportion of seats which fall to the Independent across the committees varies by size of committee, but are generally small. But the two with the highest proportion are licensing and public protection, where the Independent member, by the maths of it, is entitled to 0.34 of a seat, and planning is entitled to 0.27 of a seat. So obviously we need to round up there. And then on the other committees, it's reducing proportions from that onwards. So it is in terms of that proportionality, by a very small margin, the largest proportion for the Independent group is on that on licensing and public protection. But as I say, this is a very fine margin, and ultimately it's for council to decide which committee Councillor Beeston will sit on.
And thank you for giving me the opportunity to just briefly respond to that after the clarification from the Chief Executive. The reason that we would prefer the vacation of a seat on licensing and public protection as per the numbers and to retain a seat on planning is because, quite frankly, I would struggle to see which member of the Labour group we would take off planning. All members of the Labour group contribute significantly to planning, regularly engage with the planning debate and play a critical role in moving, seconding planning proposals, and have done for a number of years. And I struggle to see which member I would take off that wouldn't then weaken the planning function of this council, which is the reason why we would prefer, as per the numbers, to reduce a member on licensing and public protection and to retain the Labour members on the planning committee due to the vital role all of those members play throughout that performance of planning. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tagg.
I'm not seeing any. Oh, did we say
any more speakers, please? Sorry, I didn't see your hand in there. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a point in response to Councillor Holland's assertion of political proportionality. Just for a point for all the members, the licensing committee and licensing subcommittees appointed under the Licensing Act 2003 are not ordinary or advisory committees or subcommittees, and the 2003 Act does not extend to political balance requirements to them. So I'm not sure of the point that was being made there, but what I would say more widely, Mr. Mayor, is I'm not sure why there's such a debate from the other side over where opposition councillors sit, and I do hope that it's not to do with the local plan, which has had significant opposition, and trying to weaken the voice and scrutiny and debate from all sides that will go through planning eventually on that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any more speakers, please? Councillor Tagg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Completely, obviously, sorry.
Do you want to sum up?
Yes, please. Completely rejects the assertion made by Councillor Fox-Hewitt. Then we're trying to do anything with the local plan. He will know if he knows about planning that the individual members are sitting on there as judge and jury on planning applications as they come in. They interpret planning policy and they'll eventually interpret the local plan, but the makeup of that committee does not affect how we take forward the local plan. And I'd just like to say to Sue Beeston, welcome back to the council and welcome as an independent. And this group still supports you on being that member. I think as Councillor Holland put forward, is referring to the principles in the Act as well. And I completely support what he says on that, despite what has been said elsewhere. And I would move what I moved is that the independent member sit on the planning committee. That would then trigger, obviously, a number of other decisions which will be made by other groups. But I will move, as I originally did, the whole 2 papers, both the main report and the supplementary. But the main vote, I think, Mr. Mayor, will be on that planning and licensing committee issue. Thank you. I believe I'm the last speaker.
Councillor Jones.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, very briefly, point of order. Under the proposal, the nominee from the Labour group for the vacant seat on Economy and Place will be myself, and I'd like that documented so we can ensure appropriate membership. Thank you.
Thank you.
So members, in order to move through this, first of all, what you're going to be invited to do is see if the recommendations in the substantive report can be agreed, first of all. So all those, I guess all those in favour?
Are those in favour? Can you raise your hands high, please?
For the substantive report. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
Can
so
you raise them high, please, so I can count? Thank you.
Okay, so that's carried.
That's carried. Thank you.
So the second task then is for council to determine which committee the independent member will sit on, and that will be done by taking a vote on whether the independent member should be allocated a seat on licensing and public protection or on planning committee. So do you want to all those in favour of licensing?
All those in favour for licensing, can you raise your hands, please? John, is that your hand? Hi. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. All those in favour of planning committee, sorry. All those in favour of planning committee, please raise your hands high. It's going to be. Yeah, so planning committee. And we agree the recommendations in the supplementary report, please. Yeah. Please.
This is on the supplementary report because you've got Councillor Jones is not to Economy in Place and the recommendations that flow from the decision you've just taken.
So can you raise your hands, please? Against? Abstentions? That's carried. Thank you. Good. Excellent. Members, we now turn to the most substantive item of business on this evening's agenda, which is a local planning enforcement plan. A copy of the report and associated papers can be found on pages 27 to 58 of your agenda. Councillor Andrew Fear, will you please now introduce the item, please?
Very much. I hope this is working. There's a sort of flashing lights here.
If I turn, it's not. Do you want to
Up. It's gone red now. But all is well. Excellent. Right. So here we are. I hope this won't exercise members' attention for a great deal of time, although I'm happy to concede that this is a very important thing. Enforcement is a public-facing function of this council, and obviously the public are very interested in it. Sometimes, of course, we all know that, unfortunately, the legal system makes the average glacier look like Speedy Gonzales. Stuff is happening in the background, which is not immediately perceptible. But this is a set of plans drafted by our officers to try and make sure that our planning is up to speed and is as fit for purpose as we can make it. This has gone to the planning committee prior to this, and there it's received, I think, cross-party support. No one spoke against it. The only difference, as far as I can see, is that Mr. Jordan has put a nicer picture on the front of the report than the one that went to the planning committee at that time. Inside, we have a policy outlining the council's approach, and I think two very useful appendices showing the way we will prioritise issues of enforcement, and also I think the bit which is entitled a toolkit showing what we can, and perhaps as importantly sometimes what we cannot do with issues of enforcement. As I say, this has been through the relevant committees. It gained all party support there. I very much commend it to members. This is an important issue. I don't think there's anything controversial here. It's trying to make sure that we get this as right as we can. And so I would urge you to support this being passed through.
Thank you, Councillor Fear. I understand that Councillor Simon Tagg will second the motion proposed by Councillor Andrew Fear.
Yes,
Councillor
Mr. Mayor,
Tagg.
happy to do that. And just to echo what Councillor Fee has said about this report, it's also been through Cabinet on the 19th of September. I think it also gives us a structure around enforcement. I've been on this council many, many years, and I've seen many, many long-running enforcement issues and planning that they can take a long time, very complex, but we need the structures in place and the officer capacity. And I think we have that around this strategy now, probably that we never had before. So I think I really endorse the strategy going forward and look to see it in practice in the coming months and years. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, we now move to the debate on this item. Can I ask you to indicate by raising your hand if you wish to speak, please? Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could I ask, on page 42, I was surprised to read that one of the low priorities was assessed as non-compliance with Section 106 planning obligations. And I'd like to ask the portfolio holder about that, please. We've all, as he outlined, we've all seen examples of poor planning enforcement, which really does have a detrimental effect on the amenity or privacy of neighbours. So I wondered why that non-compliance with Section 106 planning obligations was assessed as a low priority.
Do you wish me to respond to that, Mr. Mayor, through you?
Yes, please.
Thank you very much. I think here perhaps the phrase priority is a little bit unfortunate, but when one looks at the prioritisation, it's to do with the speed of response to these things. So manifestly, unauthorised works to a listed building. I mean, if we've got a listed building, somebody's knocking a hole in it, we need to move quickly. That's not to say we don't take very seriously people who don't comply with Section 106 agreements, but of course there is time to respond to that. Indeed, the legal mechanisms will require time to respond to that. So in terms of priorities here, I think what we're looking at is the damage, the immediate damage that can be done by breaches of planning legislation and the rapidity of which we need to respond to them. So I don't think in the sense that we don't, low here perhaps is an unfortunate term. It's not that we don't take non-compliance with S106 agreements seriously. It's that they do not produce the immediate danger that, say, damage to a tree, damage to a listed building would take, where we need to move very, very quickly indeed, because if we don't, actually, we can't do anything about it, can we? Once it's gone, so to speak. So I understand the councillor's concern at one level. Perhaps the language is unfortunate, but I hope she will appreciate that the idea here is to do with rapidity of response and the prioritisation of that.
Thank you. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Really pleased to see this plan come to council. I think it's a sensible plan. It was really good for this to come to planning. We certainly, as opposition members, relish the opportunity to look through this plan and provide strong scrutiny of the plan and to be able to make input on that. And in particular, I'm very pleased to see under 2.7 the officer's decision to remove the word significant next to public complaint. This was something that we pushed for as opposition members because we felt that the inclusion of the term significant was open to a whole host of interpretation, and that simply where there was public complaint, that would be sufficient enough to trigger under this policy. And we feel that that was a very good contribution, and certainly thank the officers for including this in the revision. But no, we intend to support this plan tonight. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any more speakers, please? No. Councillor Tagg, could you second the motion, please?
Yeah, or sum up, because I seconded earlier. Yeah, I think
Councillor Fear is going to sum up, isn't it?
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'll come.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. My only point was, I think, on the what the councillor said about the prioritisation, and Andy explained it very well. I think we're looking at a 20-day for high, medium, and low, with the lowest being within 20 days. That's a challenging target, which one we will look to meet in this strategy. But I think, as Andy said, it's clear that the most sort of outstanding issues, the really important ones, are dealt with in the high priority area, and those which are obviously can be followed up at a later date within the 20 days are obviously in there, as well as the low priorities. But I think each of those is within 20 days is quite a high priority given the history of enforcement. I know that other councils have problems with enforcement as well, and time limits, so I think it's a good policy to bring in, and a good prioritisation as it says in Appendix 1 to take. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Fear.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I don't want to take a lot of time on this. I welcome what the leader of the Labour group has said. This has gone to various pieces of scrutiny. I like to think that we can take it forward with cross-party support. Again, I think it's important that the councillor raised the issue of words like high and low, but I hope everyone accepts that actually here what we're talking about is prioritisation of immediate action, which sometimes is very necessary to preserve our heritage. And that's really what we're doing. All of these things are serious. It's a question of the order in which we do them, because that order might matter at the end of the day. And again, enforcement, of course, is not just for people on the planning committee, much as though I love the planning committee. We all get these issues. And in that respect, I think Appendix 2 is helpful for every member, setting out what we can do, what we can't do. So I very much commend this report and urge members to go away. And I can't remember what ferocious phrase, Councillor Jones, you digest it or whatever.
Thank you, Councillor Fear. Now we go to the vote now, please. All those in favour, can you raise your hands high, please? It's unanimous. Thank you. Members, the next item of business on this evening's agenda is the leader's statement. A copy can be found on pages 3 to 6 of your supplementary agenda pack. I'm going to ask Councillor Simon Tagg if he would like to introduce his statement. I will then invite members to put questions to the leader or relevant portfolio holder. I will take each paragraph of the statement in turn and will invite up to 3 questions at a time before I ask the leader to respond. If I could remind members, this isn't a debate. Once the leader has responded, there is no right for members to reply. Councillor Tagg, would you like to introduce your statement, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You got pleasure with introducing the statement today, and obviously welcome any comments and questions. Just more pleasure than ever introducing this statement today. If we look at item 9 and the success in Britain in Bloom, which I think has been the best ever for the council, and just for while we're all a bit squashed up in here, the reason is because at the front there we've got all of the awards from the Heart of England, Britain in Bloom, and also the National Britain in Bloom, which of course, as we all know now, we were awarded the overall winner for the first time ever and they're all at the front there. So please, at the end of the meeting, if you get time, go down and have a look at them as well. But I'd move the statement for comments and questions, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions, anyone? Oh, sorry, I do apologise. Members, we note in paragraph 1 that the Cabinet met, on the 17th of October and the 7th of November 2023. And we move to paragraph 2, which is about Wally's Quarry odour issues. Do members have any comments or questions on paragraph 2, please? Yeah. Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is, of course, being the first full council meeting since we had those very shocking revelations about the miscalculation of miscalibration of gas emissions data by the Environment Agency monitoring stations. Residents in my ward, and I'm sure across Newcastle, feel very let down by agencies, and they're concerned about the potential health implications and about the corrected data. Can the leader just reassure residents in my area and of Newcastle that should this issue worsen again, which we hope it doesn't, we hope we're through the worst of it, but should this worsen again, that this council will not hesitate to act and use the powers available to it where other agencies have let us down? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to Councillor Adcock for your comments. I think they are incredibly pertinent, incredibly valid, and very important that we are aware of the quite remarkable findings of the miscalibration of the monitoring devices. I look through this paragraph and it's just with absolute shame to see the Secretary of State declining a public inquiry into these failures. What other public body would make failures of this kind and deny a public inquiry? You know, historically, we've been calling for a public inquiry numerous times. Residents have called for a public inquiry. Councillors of all political flavours have appeared in the prestigious local press and called for public inquiries. We have resolved twice at council to call upon a public inquiry. MPs across the political spectrum have supported the call for a public inquiry. Yet we're faced with this situation where the only person who can actually action this has refused. This has refused not just the will of this council, but of our residents. And it's let our residents down, and they do feel failed by this. So rather than just whine on about this, I do have a question, and that's to the leader. And the question is, did the Secretary of State give any reason whatsoever for declining what seems to be a very simple request and something that our residents deserve? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Stubbs.
Just a very simple one from me, Mr. Mayor. Could the leader tell us if we are aware of when we will receive the correct data? If we're dealing with the incorrect data, when are we going to receive the correct data? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Tagg, would you like to respond, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we all share the shock and horrors, and I've tried to put it into writing there as well under the statement. I think thank you for the three councillors that have commented. I'll deal with them in order. And I think that sort of role that the council has through its abatement notice process, I can assure Councillor Adcock that we are continuing to monitor that, and if necessary, there are trigger points in that. And if certainly this council will pursue it if necessary. There has been obviously a on and off sort of improvement. Then we get some spikes, and then we get the weather issues. We're continually watching it, and we don't just rely on the monitoring data from the EA. We also have our own staff going out and about, and that has actually increased further since this news from the EA. We've had more staff out there responding to residents to reassure the community as well. I mean, I'm shocked as Councillor Jones is over the failure of the minister who responded to allow us to actually have a public inquiry into this. I will distribute the letter actually, which I wrote on behalf of this council, along with the leader of the county council. I will distribute that to members, and in it, on behalf of the Secretary of State, the Minister states that there is being an independent inquiry into the failures around this by the EA, and that has been done by DEFRA, which is which is, I wouldn't say that is quite independent, but again, we await to see what the outcome of that is. And as for that corrective data, Councillor Stubbs, there was a meeting in this room of the Staffordshire County Council Health Scrutiny Committee, I believe it was on Monday now, and unfortunately the EA didn't turn up to that. They were invited and didn't come. Health professionals are here and they tried to answer questions. The County Council's Director of Public Health came. But when the questions came in about how did this happen, when will we have the corrected data, there was an empty chair. And actually, credit to the chair, Councillor Pert, County Councillor Pert, he empty chaired the EA, and the committee really made it strong that they weren't happy the EA hadn't been there. So we await, and we thought it was going to be in November, before the end of November. We got indications from other partners, not from the EA, of course, that it could be in the new year now if we ever do, because they haven't even committed to being able to give us corrective data yet. I think the public, we as councillors on behalf of our residents, are looking to have some steer. I know that the health professionals want to know, how much of this was underreported so that they can look back and say, well, this is our amended sort of health data and health advice going forward. But the only thing positive out of this is all of the three indicators, monitors around Wally's Quarry now are recalibrated, and we can only trust that they are being recalibrated correctly, and they are giving data that's reporting obviously on a weekly basis. So going forward, our health colleagues, who are just as frustrated as we are, you could find that on Monday when they were speaking on Monday, will be giving advice to people who, particularly at this time of year when odours are more prevalent and it does stick around the area with the low pressures and the type of weather we get this time of year, the odours are more prevalent, and we have seen that over the last few days with more complaints, and particularly on social media, people saying it's the worst they've smelled for a while. We must keep an eye on this, and we will do. And this council, going back to the original point of Rupert, that we will be obviously watching this very closely and use every tool that we have to try and bring that resolution for our residents. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Fox-Hewitt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the issue of Wally's Quarry, I think this council can rightly be proud of its record in doing all it can, putting aside any political interests, in both exploring and resourcing all avenues available to us to hold the operator to account on behalf of the community. And as has been alluded to, one area that hundreds of residents have been loud and clear on is the demand for a public inquiry, an inquiry that investigates short and long-term health impacts as a result of hydrogen sulfide levels and other unknown pollutants that have been released into our local environment, along with the numerous failures of the Environment Agency. So it's therefore very disappointing to learn that the Secretary of State, DEFRA Minister responsible for the Environment Agency, has declined to support this council's request and the leader's request, and to support the community to establish that inquiry. And I've just heard from the leader that the response really is that the minister's satisfied that the Environment Agency can conduct their own inquiry. I think that's what the leader said. Yeah. At DEFRA, sorry. Now, given the lack of action to date and lack of support, I would hope that everyone agrees that that's simply not really acceptable to any member in this council. So to that end, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move a motion without notice, and that motion is to amend the recommendations of the report of the leader to include a secondary recommendation. And that recommendation is that council agrees that the leader of the council will write to the Secretary of State admonishing them for the failure to support this council's request for a public inquiry, to ask them to reconsider their decision and invite the minister or their representatives to meet with representatives of this council to discuss our concerns. To assist, Mr. Mayor, I'll give you a copy of that amendment.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yes.
First of all, does the leader agree with this?
Is there another speaker? Is there more questions I can call?
No, it's not
No,
no.
okay, fine. Great. I will completely support that. And I think as Councillor Fox-Hughes has said, we've got a proud record in non-political sort of working together on this without politics. And I'm just as disappointed as he is. I think every member of this council is disappointed as he is. And I know that our local MP is as disappointed as we all are as well, and is taking his own actions within government to try and get a change of heart on this, that we need that for the public's sake, a public inquiry in this, and more than happy to write again to the Secretary. We've got a new Secretary of State now, of course, who I haven't wrote to before. So, there's a few I've wrote to over the years, but this one will be a new letter to the new one. And also I will copy in our local MP as well, so he can take it up, and an armoury for him to go in as well. Pardon? Maybe this one will be more positive. Yes, hopefully. So more than happy to accept that as an amendment to the leader's statement. So at the end, we can move that as I think that's the correct way to do, but perfectly happy to accept that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more speakers on paragraph 2, please? No. Members, paragraph 3 is about the Newcastle Town Centre regeneration. Do members have any comments or questions on paragraph 3, please? Gosh. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Councillor Brockie first, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The residents of Newcastle will, I'm sure, agree with so much optimism to these reassurances from the leader and the administration about this level of expertise in transforming neglected spaces into vibrant hubs. If there's one thing we need in this town, it's vibrant hubs. We would expect no less than an environmentally sustainable approach. We just don't seem to know very much about the detail at the moment. Can the leader assure this council and the residents of Newcastle that all elected members, all of them, will be given the opportunity to meet with the representatives of the providing companies and see a detailed presentation from them of exactly what is being planned to be done in our name to our town? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Allport.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With the Castle car park and associated developments being located at the Rycroft, the leader's reference to the market's position at the heart of the town centre seems to compromise rather than reinforce this excellent intention. From the High Street, where the Nationwide is situated, to the former Sainsbury's site on the Rycroft is 1.6 kilometres, 40 minutes walk or 5 minutes cycling, which is not that far for a healthy person to walk. However, you're not able to see it from there, and its attractions are not that obvious from that side of town. There is concern that the market will become marginalised, with a lot of footfall being directed elsewhere. Given the expense of the improvements to the market and the consultation regarding the best options for its preservation going forward, can we be assured that the plans for the refurbishment will retain focus on accessibility to the market area? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gorton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question too is on the market, but it's really to ask for more information on this interesting idea about rent-free stalls for traders on Mondays. I certainly agree that the scheme is worth trying, but I wonder if Councillor Tagg could give a little more detail about the scheme's operation. For example, when will it start? Will it be launched on a trial basis? Or is it the intention that it will become a sort of permanent feature of the market? And will market stalls on Mondays be offered on a first-come, first-served basis? Or will the council consider using the scheme to support young entrepreneurs by giving Newcastle residents, say under the age of 30, first call on rent-free stalls? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tagg, would you like to respond? That's your 3 questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for those questions. Councillor Brockie, first of all, I thought I'm reliving the call-in for the moment. We just had a call-in, didn't we, to the FAPS committee about the around the regeneration. And I think I gave an explanation there of the capital-centric business model, also about the finances around this. We had a good debate about it. I think it's all accepted that as we move forward on this regeneration proposal, this council, the scrutiny committees, the planning committee will all have their say, and publicly, the public will be able to see all those things happening as we move forward on these plans. I think these are really exciting plans beginning to build now around our town centre. Starts with obviously the new car park, moving on to Councillor Allport. I think, I'm not sure the 40-minute walk is correct, but 14. Oh, but I would just reassure him that the idea around the Rycroft is not to have retail. It's about residential. It's about possibly a hotel. And the York Place development is all about opening up York Place to connect the rest of the town to Rycroft. That is the overall vision in the blueprint which we had, and also which is it can be seen when we've brought reports forward about York Place as well. So I think the market will prosper. I think the town shops will prosper as well, out of having people living and working and visiting from the Rycroft. And I think it can only be good for the town, which is really good. On the issue to do with the detail of the market and the free Monday market, I'm going to bring in our able portfolio holder for markets, Councillor Sweeney.
Thank you for that rousing cheer from my number one fan of Councillor Holland to be saying working night and day soon. Councillor Gorton, yeah, I'd absolutely love there to be a waiting list for people on a Monday. Wouldn't that be fantastic? Rather than the sort of half dozen stores we now have, if there were 60 stores on a Monday, how good? And if we got that problem, I'd be really interested in looking at it. But I think we don't want to run before we can walk. Let's just get things started and see how it goes. And if it is a success, everybody's a winner. But I think the idea there's going to be 60 stores there first day, I don't really think. I'd like to be optimistic, but I think that might be a little bit too optimistic. And credit you for being optimistic. I like a bit of optimism, but we'll see how it goes first. But it's an excellent idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wright.
The refurbishment of the market area is long overdue, and the positive.
Councillor, can you speak into your mic, please?
Sorry,
you can bend it down.
I will. Yep. Right. And the provision of short stay parking bays is very welcome. However, what arrangements are in place for control and supervision of the spaces? Our popular speciality markets take place at the weekend, when parking wardens have limited access, limited duties in the area. And will the staffing required to prevent the misuse of these facilities be provided? And are the costs of that supervision factored into the overall cost of maintaining the area? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Richards.
The level of antisocial behaviour in the town continues to be a source of concern. The police and CSOs who patrol there have limited ability due to staff concerns. Last Monday, for example, there was one officer on duty from 9 AM to 1 PM covering the area from the avenue to Highland on foot, as well as the town centre. We employ multifunction operatives who appear to have responsibility to support the police and the community. What are you doing to ensure that the needs of the town centre are represented to the police authorities and that our own resources are being properly and fairly deployed to protect this public space? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tagg.
Thank you for those. I think, Councillor Wright, we are having the nipper parking on the days when there isn't an event market. So when there is an event market, there will be no nipper parking at the bottom. And then our team of, they're not just parking enforcement now, they're actually multi-function teams who are in and around the town during the week and will enforce that as they do all car parks. So I think that's covering that point. Relating to the antisocial behaviour issues potentially in town, obviously we do have our wardens, as the councillor has said, and a part of the multifunction team, and they are out and about and they liaise with police. And we do, and I'm going to speak up for the police here locally, because they do, and our police commander does ensure that there are resources in the town. We see those, anybody that comes into town can see them. Of course, we want more. And we're pressing for more, and we've spoken to our police and crime commissioner about that as well. But I think the police do an excellent job in the town when they're there, and we have a team that are able to communicate with them through our wardens, etc., to get them in if there's any issues. But I think I see on social media, a lot about issues in the town centre, etc. But when I go into town a lot, we're working in this building a lot. The town centre is busy, the town centre is vibrant. The town centre is safe, and I think that message needs to get out there because there's a perception more than ever. There are issues, as there are in all town centres, and our town centre is certainly not the worst for those. But I think to say that there are no police is not true, and to say that our wardens and staff aren't doing a brilliant job, which I don't think has been said, but we can all support that they're doing a brilliant job and they work with the police where they can. And we do have a CCTV system that's state of the art that this administration brought in a few years ago with the bid, and that is helping to obviously make the town safer and also get the police the information they need to prosecute anybody, or for the council to use its many powers it has now through the public open order space legislation to enable us to remove people from the town centre if they are causing trouble to the vast majority of people there who are there to shop and have a meal or have a drink or go to the bus station or walk through to the car parks. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more speakers on paragraph 3, please? Councillor Sweeney.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think these are tremendous times for Newcastle. It's very exciting, the innovation. I don't want to talk about the Rycroft and the Garthing Stone and Captain Central and this, but what about things like Malik's being brought back by the university into a vibrant hub in the middle of our town, bringing people from Keele down into the town. We've got a Vice Chancellor, Trevor McMillan, who's absolutely excited and thrilled to bits about this development. This is something that we've been trying to do for years, and now it's going to happen. What about the Co-op going to Laura Ashley? Magnificent building like that, getting a new life put into it. More exciting things. Santander being taken over. More exciting developments. We've got an idea of having a big TV screen at the bottom end of the town. Revolving that'll go upside down, back to front, or whatever. Really, really exciting times. I think these are really, really. I keep saying really, really. I keep apologizing, but they are tremendous times for our town. And I think personally, we should sort of sit back and look at it and think, my word, this is transforming our place where we live and that we love. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wasn't aware that we were going to discuss the inclusion of the university project within the town centre, but I think it's pertinent to add a declaration of interest that I work for Keele University and have been involved with this project. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Fox-Hewis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wasn't really intending to speak, but it's just about, I think we do need to be honest that when we're talking about, the town's safe place, I certainly read a lot of comments that people have genuine fears due to the number of those that are suffering from substance abuse and those that are in the town centre. And I think we really do need to get a strategy with the council working with the police to particularly improve and increase the number of dispersal orders. I mean, I can give an example. Only a couple of weekends ago, I was with my wife and young children. We went to the cinema around about 7 o'clock on a Saturday night, and there was someone that was it looked like suffering from substance abuse and having a fit in the subway. Now, that's not nice for young children to see. When I got out the other end of the subway, there was 5 police officers. So I went up to them and asked them if they could give medical attention and either get the gentleman to hospital or to move them on. And when I came out of the cinema 2 hours later, the police were still there, and went down the subway and the bloke was still there fitting in the subway. So I think, not dealing with these issues, and homelessness, substance abuse, gangs, we really do need to get a strategy to get on top of it, because investment's welcome, the plans sound exciting, we all want the town centre to be a success, but we have to be honest about the problems that the town centre faces and really get a grip of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more speakers on paragraph 3, please? Nope.
Thank you. Just to echo what Councillor Sweeney said about the town being on the up in many respects, and it's detailed in under 3 here. I think we just had a criticism session, didn't we, under Wally's about the government. I think on this they've delivered that funding for us through the Future High Streets Fund and through the town dealers, enabling us to do some of the things that haven't been done for many years. So we've had the failed HDD project under the previous administration, the failed Sky Building project under the previous administration. What we have now is a series of things we can bring forward, which can actually make that difference. And we have the money to do that as well, to kick those schemes off. So I think I'm not going to add anything more on what Councillor Fox-Hewitt said, because I covered that earlier. And I think what we need to do is really project the positives about this town as well, which are really important. And you can see those all around now, I think, and that will grow over the months and years as we go forward, as we begin to see the benefits of future high streets government funding and a town deal funding that has never been experienced by this borough under any previous government. And I think the levelling up agenda was one of the best ideas which this government, previous government, had come under, as I don't think we're in the same government now, but previous government. And I think, yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. Members, paragraph 4 is about the sustainable environment update. Do members have any comments or questions on paragraph 4, please? We'll start with Councillor White first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I read this this section of the report and was very pleased, really, to read the progress in achieving a 50% reduction in overall net carbon and on our journey to zero as a council. Also, that we'd reached the 25,000 tree planting across the borough, which again is a significant achievement. What particularly drew my eye was the fact of a proposal for a solar farm on land adjacent to Keele Cemetery, which would power the cemetery and local businesses, etc. And we are aware, or a number of us will be aware, that Keele University has been very successful in its own solar generation and wind turbine, and in fact leads the way in smart energy network production. So one of the watch outs for this, though, and my question to the leader is, when you do install solar farms, there are infrastructure requirements, cabling, etc., which can have an adverse effect if it's treated properly in terms of its planning. So how is the infrastructure and cabling going to be treated for this, please?
Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In terms of the urban tree planting initiative, which I'm sure everyone welcomes and supports, can we be assured that the council has the resources to maintain this expanded programme moving forward?
And one more question, the third one, Councillor Hutchinson.
Yeah, I was going to make some comments, Mr. Mayor. I don't know whether you want, is that okay, or do you want another question first?
Okay, then. Yeah, we still we'll do Councillor Adcock.
Thank you. First, I want to welcome the planting of all these 14,947 trees, because over 850 of them have been in Silverdale this year with the new lime forest that's been planted, plus the new trees gone up at Silverdale Roundabout. I think it's a really good initiative, and the council should be proud of its achievements there. I also really welcome that there's a new tree and biodiversity management plan. That really interested me, because it's something we've talked about before in Health, Wellbeing, Environment Scrutiny Committee, about how these trees are going to be managed. It's one of the things residents say to me, that they like trees being planted, but will they be maintained and checked and managed? Are the right trees going in? So I think it's a really positive step to have this tree and biodiversity management plan. And when will this be coming before the committee to be scrutinised? I'd love to see that. Thank you.
Councillor Tagg.
Okay, thank you for those 3 questions. I'm going to deal with the first one from Gary White, and then I'm going to hand over to the portfolio holder David Hutchins for the around the tree issues. But on the solar panel, thank you for that, and I think it's a welcome move if we can bring it off. It's very early days on it, of course, and there will be various cabinet reports to come. But I think it's a really key point you make about the cabling, etc. We've seen where residents have got upset where cabling has to go through their garden or their house. But I think on this, we're looking to use the highway and to use utilities use the highway. And we also have cable for broadband. So the idea would be to follow the highway and keep out of those problems. And of course, it will all become clear in the planning application as well, so the public will be able to see where the routing of this. And of course, it is right in the Keele ward, but of course obviously right on the edge of Madeley, which of course is Councillor White's ward as well, so a pertinent point. But I think just be reassured that through the planning process we can ensure that there is no upset for residents, and we can use the highway land, which of course is used by all the utilities. Thank you. And I'll hand over to Councillor Hutchins for the tree question.
Yeah, Councillor Hutchinson.
I'd like to thank the two councillors for the questions on trees. Yes, we finally do have a tree management plan. I have it here in my hand. It's been developed into a Borough Council biodiversity management operations plan. I have a nearly finished draft copy here. It was hoped to be ready to present to the Health and Wellbeing and Environment Committee on Monday, the 27th of November, but the fine tuning took longer than anticipated and we missed the deadline for the agenda. Officers and myself are reading the report over the next week to do a final fine tune. And I think the best idea would be if I email the plan to every member of the council next week. So all 44 borough councils will have a copy of the plan. We will then give all councillors a chance to read the report, and it will be scrutinised at the Health, Wellbeing and Environment Scrutiny Committee in January 2024. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I take on board the comments made by previous councillors regarding the solar farm in Keele, or the proposed solar farm in Keele. I look forward to plans coming forward to planning. I have some concerns myself as the local member regarding the location. And for those who know Keele, know that that's almost a valley area. So that area is highly visible across into the older part of Keele Village, and I do have concerns with reflection and effects of that. So I look forward, hopefully I will still be on planning, but who knows. I look forward to seeing that come forward. I'm glad to see this report. I think the authority has made some significant strides in reducing its carbon emissions. I think there's some notable, very positive moves that have been highlighted in here, in particular the conversion of vehicles to hydrated vegetable oil, which we know came at a cost to the council, but was the right move in order to ensure that a area of the council that is a large carbon emission is reduced. I would raise something, though, that has been a concern of mine for a while now, that it seems regularly when we come to these council meetings, we are regularly presented with a number of papers sat here on our desks. And I've just quickly totted it up, and given an A4 sheet is roughly a 12.7 gram carbon cost. And given how many we have printed out for all of the council members here, just today, the amount of carbon to produce these sheets is equivalent to a car travelling over a mile. And I'm glad that Councillor Northcott has raised his iPad. I too utilise the iPad, but still have sheets of paper in front of me. I very much would applaud the council for what it's done, but I think it's important that we have these papers in a timely fashion, that they can be presented. The reason we have these papers here is that there was insufficient time to include them in the online provision. I would heartily support all papers being provided online with a suitable time frame as per law for members to scrutinise those documents. And I would very heartily see a replacement and an end to these printouts on the table. I think it's a very simple way that we could further go beyond the 50% reduction mark and start getting into the more difficult stages. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Fox-Hewitt.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question. As part of the tree and biodiversity plan, are there any plans to scale up the workforce capacity in response? So that's the numbers within the council team, the skills, the training, to meet the demands of the future, because obviously anyone that knows it's quite a specialist field to be able to do that line of work. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Tagg.
Thank you for those questions. Thank you, Councillor Jones. I think I share your concerns over ensuring we get it right if there is a solar plant application coming in. Will be scrutinised very close, as it should be. I think hopefully I've reassured on the answer to the question from Councillor White, there is a way of obviously ensuring that all the things that have to go in with this are done with obviously not to inconvenience local people. I think also you're quite right over the siting of it and the topography up there. You need to ensure that it is shielded from local homes and across the valley, so to speak. On paper use, I would say this council has made massive strides in reducing paper use over the years. And I can remember when I first became a councillor, we used to get an envelope every Friday night, a big brown envelope filled with everything you could imagine. And you're thinking, goodness me, and what, by a courier that used to drive around in a car. And so we've cut down on that, but there is further to go. And I think, point taken on some of these, but I think on some of the late things that are on here, they have been published in the last, I think the questions, for example, the deadline for questions is Friday at Tuesday afternoon. So they were then published, I believe, this morning online, and then the supplementary over the committees obviously has been published online. So they are there. So I think we just have to decide, who needs, some people still may need paper copies. I don't think we're never going to go paper free, but we also need to cut down on the amount of paper we actually use. And of course, I'm already talking to our officers about that, and also our IT officers, to ensure we have timely publication of agendas, and also the opportunity for laptops within this room for people, or tablets or whatever, so that they can access if they don't have their own equipment. And any ICT problems, please contact our officers, because they will help you through ensuring that your own equipment works properly, so you don't need a paper agenda. As for the comment by Councillor Fox-Hewitt on the solar farm, on the tree plan, I think I can assure him that a part of the report will be the budget and also the staffing implications, because of course this is a change to the way we work, I think, and also by the planting more trees on green spaces, there's a less requirement for such intensive grass cutting, isn't there? So there's a shift of resources towards a more tree management plan, and that will be in the plan which Councillor Hutchins outlined earlier. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more speakers on paragraph 4, please? Nope. Members, paragraph 5 is about the Borough local plan update. Do members have any comments or questions on paragraph 5, please? Yeah. Councillor Grocott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we all can see the second one has had a lot more responses. I think the first consultation was 200, where this has got 1,200. Just actually wondering when we actually may have the results for this to go to the public, actually on the Borough Council website. I see obviously it's put down about scrutiny and cabinet, but also I think it's good if we can get feedback from our public to actually all the councillors, so they can take it back to that relevant committees. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'd just like to say I'm very pleased that the consultation on the first draft local plan ensured a comprehensive engagement process with residents, communities and stakeholders. The council went above and beyond the statutory minimum period, allowing for an 8-week consultation period, providing ample time for individuals, residents to review and comment on the draft plan online by email, written form, as well as in public events across the borough. Can the portfolio holder confirm this accessibility and inclusivity will continue during the next consultation on the local plan?
Councillor Tagg.
Just the two? Yeah, yes. I think on the first one, if I remember rightly, the last consultation we did on the options for sites was the biggest consultation this council had ever done, and that has now been surpassed by this latest consultation, which has been now the biggest consultation that's been done by this council. I think that just shows how we've, as Councillor Crisp says, how we've really sort of made sure we've gone the extra mile to ensure that anybody that wanted to put their views forward could do so online, by email or via letter, or even in person at one of the events we had, or even come into this building and have an appointment with a planning officer. And as you can see, hundreds and hundreds of people have taken that up, and those views are being collated at the moment and will be brought back to us in the new year. But I'm going to hand over to Councillor Fear as a portfolio holder to address the question from Councillor Crisp relating to future consultations.
Thank you very much. And through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'm happy to confirm to the councillor that the suite of consultation measures that we had for the Reg 18 plan will go forward with the Reg 19 plan. So no one will be deprived of a chance to comment on this. I think, I too very much welcome the response we had for our last consultation. I think it's been helped by the fact that there was a little bit less mischief making than they'd been in the past, with rumours about how you could not consult, where these were simply not true. I think that message has got through. We've got a lot of things back. Our officers are faced now with our success. Obviously, if you get lots and lots of responses, it takes time to collate them and formulate a response to the points that have been put forward. I do know that something is going forward to scrutiny, but the final stuff will be in the new year. I wouldn't want to cherry pick any of it because I think it's important to see the document in the round, not to have little bits and pieces of it. But that will be arriving for us in the new year. We've got a tough plan to get this programme moving, but our officers, I'm sure, can rise to it. And at the moment, everything is going ahead as we'd planned, so we can look forward to this in the new year.
Thank you. Members, paragraph 6 is about the town deal update, projects in Nutton. Do members have any comments or questions on paragraph 6, please? Councillor Mott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to ask the leader if he could confirm what support and financial resources will be made available to ensure a CIC comes forward to run the community centre. And if this is not achieved, does this put at risk the whole community centre project? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And leading on from Councillor Moss's really good question on that. As many members will be aware, hopefully, the previous community centre in Nutton was serviced by a management group, much like our other community centres, and that management group was exceptionally viable. It operated well. There were people who utilised the facility. The management group resourced that and did an absolutely fantastic job. I just wonder, maybe it's my confusion, but is there flexibility in the people that would come forward to run that centre, as the council has requested, whether they were to do that under a management group rather than a CIC, much like our other community centres? I know there are members of the Nutton community who previously were involved with the management of that centre in that form, that it would be more applicable to them and easier for them to do so as a management group, given that that already existed, than potentially a CIC, which is a very different beast and much more complicated for them to organise. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's just a few comments, really. This is really the site assembly report that was on cabinet. So it's us selling land to the county council to expand the enterprise centre, selling land to Aspire for housing, that sort of thing. It's that sort of level. What I would like to say, though, is I would like to pay tribute to Councillor Alderman Derek Hockfield, who I think has met a lot of people in this chamber, perhaps not everybody, but a lot of people in this chamber would say has done an absolutely tremendous job for Nutton, and has been a great advocate for the place. Now, I got elected in 2006, and there was always schemes for Nutton. There was this is going to happen, that's going to happen. There's all this. Never anything happened, apart from they lost more and more services. So I think the expression that you see quite often is putting the heart back into Nutton, and I think again, like everything else, this is really exciting times for Nutton. And I also think it's a great legacy for Councillor Hockfield. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg.
Thank you. And thank you for the comments and questions from Councillor Moss, Jones, and the comments from Steve there. I think really we need to put the new community centre on a sustainable footing. And I think the model of a CIS is something we should explore, because that can then apply for CIC, sorry, that can apply for outside funding more than anything that's really connected to the council. I think when we talk about the management groups we've got across the borough at the moment on behalf of the community centres, there's different varied levels. Some run it themselves, some are just a management committee that takes bookings. So there are various ways we can move forward. I think on this one, this will be, as we say, putting that heart back into Nutton with the new community centre, and we want to give it a go and try and get a group together that can run this and bring funding in to keep it sustainable in the long term. And I'd really welcome the new local member, Councillor Moss, to be involved in that and is working in the community with us on that one. And of course, Councillor Hookfield as well, of course, will be involved. He's still a county councillor for the area. I'm sure he has his thoughts on how this could work, and he'll certainly tell us, and won't he, which is Councillor Hookfield. But I think as Stephen has said, this is a really great report we brought with all those opportunities for taking the village centre of Nutton forward, those extra housing, the village centre, the village hall, and the starter units and everything, and working in partnership with both the County Council and Aspire, we can really bring something off unique. And I'll go back to what I said under the previous item on the town centre regeneration, that 3.5 million government funding, which again has come in to begin to kick some of this off. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more speakers on paragraph 6, please? No. Members, paragraph 7 is about the temporary accommodation policy. Do members have any comments or questions on paragraph 7? No. Moving on. Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, reading this, it is something that we need to look at and address. So I do have 2 questions, if I may. First one is about the purchasing the property to help these people. Any idea on which building or property that they're looking at? And can the deputy answer a question about he's written to the Chancellor? Has he got back to him yet? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Tagg.
On the first question, I'll hand over to the portfolio holder, Jill Heatham, on that temporary accommodation. Then I think the question was to the deputy leader about his letter, so I'll let him answer that in a second.
Okay, Councillor Heatham.
Well, thank you for that. At the moment, we're still looking into various properties, so I can't give you a definitive answer at this time.
Thank you. Councillor Sweeney.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, I've not received an answer yet, but I've got a feeling it won't be long. Thank you. And I'll let you know as soon as I get it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tagg.
I think just to supplement what the deputy leader said there, I think it's not only ourselves that are making the case for the temporary accommodation extra funding. I mean, because you can read in item 7 there, it's ridiculous that it's £900 a week when we're only getting 140 reclaimed back, with all the problems that people are experiencing at the moment. We need to, and more cases coming in for temporary accommodation. And I think the LGA, the other councils as well, I signed a joint letter with 100 and odd district council leaders to the government again. I think we will again, we won't have heard today from the autumn statement, but we have our settlement announcement of money before Christmas, and we're optimistic that we will get some money back to help us to deal with that. But again, until we see that and hear the announcement, we won't know how much or how it affects us. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, paragraph 8 is about the financial and performance review report, second quarter 2023 to 2024. Do members have any comments or questions on paragraph 8, please? We'll start with Councillor Stubbs.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's 2 questions, and hopefully the leader will be able to quickly hand one of them off. With regard to the rising numbers of members at Jubilee 2, could the leader please provide a full breakdown of the types of membership, be they full member students or even free memberships, etc., and the ability to compare this breakdown from Q4 of the last financial year, Q1 and Q2 of this year would be appreciated. The other one. Do you want me to do the second one?
If
That's fine.
Thank you. Councillor Burnett.
Burnett Faulkner, please. I note that the council is tendering for a new internal audit provider. Can the deputy leader update the council on the current position in relation to the external audit for 2022-23 financial year? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stubbs.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Within the report, the leader states, and I quote, "There is a good performance in terms of market occupancy. Can he tally this statement with his own corporate performance report, which states the underperforming general market is adversely affecting the overall store occupancy average, on which no days meet the 61% target? Monday markets 12%, Wednesday 15%, Friday 37%, and Saturday 26%, providing an average of 23 against a target of 61. It also states that there's a rationalisation review underway, with consideration given to a review of the general marketing opening days. Can the leader confirm that that markets are in fact not performing well at the moment and need some special assistance? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. That's your 3 questions, Councillor Tagg.
Thank you. I'll ask Stephen to answer Jill's question in a moment. But as for Councillor Stubbs' question, I think that breakdown, we certainly can provide that. I think that's a detailed thing which officers can provide to us, and we'll send that out to Councillor Stubbs. I think on the market, I think, again, it's a bit rich really about talking about the market. We inherited a market in December 2017 that was on its knees, and we've revived the market into a vibrant events market. There's always going to be days, and of course we had the conversation earlier, questions from Councillor Gorton that Councillor Sweeney answered, I think it was Councillor Gorton, about the free market day and etc., trying to, sort of bring Monday forward as a day when we have a more vibrant market. And I think it's beyond recognition that the market has changed since 2017. I think if you were down there on Sunday, Councillor Stubbs, you would have seen that when you were down there a couple of Sundays before, when we had the Greyhound market, when it was the vegan market, when it was the record fair, and we've got Christmas coming now. We've got a market almost every week, haven't we, going forward now? And I think we've got Christmas light switch on Sunday, which will have a market element as well, which will be the town packed. And I think what we've got to see is we're not going to have a full market every single day. That's why we're bringing forward the proposals to actually make some changes to the market as well, so it doesn't look so empty on the empty days, but actually when we need the full market stalls, they'll all be there, and they will be temporary ones. So I think there's a really long way to go on getting the market to where we want to go, but it's an absolute transformation. So I contend anybody in this room to actually say that it isn't, and I will obviously fight them all tooth and nail through the reports we've taken and through the actual town we see on a Sunday when we've got the events markets or the antiques market on a Tuesday. Or even the vibrant Saturday morning market as well, isn't it? As well, which is getting better and better. And that's a tribute to our market, our town centre officer, who promotes this market through social media and by working with the traders through the artisan team market, and also through the antiques market team as well. Who they are obviously private run markets that come onto our town and do their markets and bring people in. So I think it's a vibrant picture, and I think it's something we should be proud of, and I'm proud of that, and I know Councillor Sweeney is, because he talks about it at council meetings many times.
Councillor Waring.
Thank you, Chair. Just while we're talking about the markets, I'd like to say we went on Sunday and all the foodie stalls seem to be selling out pretty quickly. So I think that suggests that they're doing fairly well. I'd just like to say that I welcome the extended financial performance report that's been to Cabinet and scrutiny. I think it's good to see the open and transparent approach to finance and performance in this council. But I've just got a brief question. Is the portfolio holder still confident that the council will achieve a balanced outturn at the end of the financial year? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I can do, I'll do Paul's first and then Jill's afterwards, if I may. Yes, Paul, I'm very confident. Due to the economic uncertainty and volatility, a cost of living reserve amounting to £400,000 was established in order to safeguard the council against inflationary increases in utilities and pay. The council takes a very prudent approach to its finances. All expenditure is closely monitored by the finance team, the corporate leadership team, and by the cabinet. As at the close of period 7, now this is the month after the reports that you've got there, the council is still on track to deliver a balanced outturn for the financial year. So if I can repeat myself again, yeah, I'm very confident at the end of the year we'll have a balanced budget. The second one was, I think, was Councillor Bernard Faulkner's talk about the audit. The audit of the statement of accounts has been completed with the exception of Staffordshire Pension Fund, for which you're awaiting the County Council's audit income. That audit outcome, that's no disrespect to the county. Ernst & Young, who do the audit for the pensions, just haven't got it done in time, basically. And so we can't because our employees are their pension fund is run by the county council, so there's got to be a tie-in with both, and we're just waiting for it. At the Audit Standards Committee on the 20th of September, the auditor praised the council in terms of standard of the accounts produced and the working papers and assistance provided to them during the audit. Absolutely no adjustments have been required to be made to the accounts for 22-23. This demonstrates further the council's excellent financial management. And I can't tell you how good that is. There's absolutely nothing. Our accounts are perfect. And so, you know, tremendously well done to the officers for that. Now, at the 30th of September, only 5 local authorities in the entire country had their accounts audited and signed off. The council would have included within this small number of the audit at the Staffordshire Pension Fund had been completed. Nothing whatsoever to do with the Borough Council, but we would have been then 6. There'd be 6 councils in the country if Ernst & Young had done the job properly at the county. So that's the position of the accountancy. Excellent finance team, an excellent set of results. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more speakers on paragraph 8, please? No. Members, paragraph 9 is about the set in Britain in bloom. Do members have any comments or questions on paragraph 9? Councillor Panther.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to congratulate everyone involved in this truly incredible achievement. Winning the Royal Horticultural Society Britain in Bloom Award for the entire country is a really phenomenal recognition of the borough and testament to the dedication and hard work of our staff and residents, whose collective effort truly shines through in the diverse plant species, sustainable gardening practices and year-round voluntary engagement showcased in both the national competition and the regional entry. Will our leader agree with me that this being our 850th year celebration, that this award will help our bids to be even more successful?
Thank you. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It was an absolute pleasure to walk into the chamber today and see all of those awards displayed across the front of the table, and to be squeezed in here at the back in the cheap seats. It's a pleasure because we know that we're squeezed in because of the abundance of glass and certificates on the front there, which is a real recognition. But let's remember why they're there. They're there due to the incredible hard work and dedication of our council staff and volunteers out in the community who work year in, year out to ensure that every year we return an absolutely fantastic result in Britain in Bloom. Whatever the political flavour of the council, this has become a historic award that sits on this council and puts this council ahead of others. And in that, I'd like to propose that we have a round of applause for our hardworking council staff and volunteers. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Fox-Hewitt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think Councillor Jones and I must have quite in tune on our thought process. It's now clearly a fantastic historic tradition that we return awards, and in light of the national recognition that we've achieved as a result of these outstanding results, I was just wondering, are there any plans for any reward and recognition schemes for the army of council staff that have put in many, many hours in all weathers to keep this borough looking fantastic and gaining this award? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tagg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for those comments. I mean, across the board there, I think we were very proud, as I said right at the beginning. And I think just responding firstly to the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Panther, I think this year, more than ever, if we were going to win the Nationals, we had to have a USP, didn't we? And this year it was our 850. I remember with you, Mr. Mayor, we went down to London to the Horticultural Society's HQ for the awards. And I remember as we were called out as the overall winner, shocked, gasp, but the screen was full of Newcastle-under-Lyme and also our 850 logo. And I'll just pay tribute again to Dallin Moby, who designed that for us in-house, our 850 logo. And I came back and said, your logo was plastered across the whole set of screens behind the where all the results were announced. So I think, yes, I think it made that little bit of difference for us we've never had before. And of course, we'll have more reports coming to council over the 850 and in the new year review of that. But I think it's made a big difference across a lot of things and helped us with Britain Bloom just that little bit further, which is what we wanted. And I think in response to, thank you, Councillor Jones, for your comments as well. I completely agree with those, and Councillor Fox-Hewitt. There is a thank you event every year for those involved in Britain in Bloom, and we're certainly having one of those with even more vigour this year. And I think through looking at our HR manager there, Georgia, we have our recognition scheme as well, and I think we certainly will be looking this year to recognise those in the team that have made this possible, the management around it, ensuring when the judges come, ensuring that they have a faultless journey around twice this time, of course, not only for the regionals but also when the national judges came. So I think it's a team effort, and of course overall it's all our communities that take, and residents and people with their back gardens that take part in the community event as well, which we celebrate at the New Vic every year. So I think we do thank those people, and certainly through the event that's going to take place, forget the date at some point, isn't it? We're having a thank you event for staff in this room, I think, and also possibly after that we can look at the recognition through the processes that have been set up by Georgie, our HR officer, to ensure those thanks get out there and that recognition gets out there to those staff. And of course, our former director who left us in the spring, Dave Adams, everybody will remember, he was thrilled to bits when he was contacted. He was texted by, he's not here tonight, is he, Roger, who's our officer really in charge of Britain in Bloom, and he was thrilled to bits from his new property in Scotland, obviously, that we'd got that extra thing and got the national overall. And Roger was sitting next to me and his mouth fell open in shock when he leaned back in his seat when we made the overall national winner. And of course it was announced on the One programme as well. We had to keep it, you couldn't text it around or anything after for a couple of hours until it came to upset internally, but publicly. And then at 7 o'clock or wherever on the One programme, it was announced that Newcastle-under-Lyme was the overall winner, and a real good sort of plug for Newcastle-under-Lyme in our 850th year, they said as well. So again, tying in with what I was saying about the comments from the Deputy Mayor. So really brilliant, and I think we've had that round of applause. Thank you for proposing that, Councillor Jones. I think it's great. And onwards and upwards. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more speakers on paragraph 9, please? No, moving on. Members, paragraph 10 is about the forward plan. Do members have any comments or questions on paragraph 10, please? Nope. Councillor Tagg? Nope. Thank you. Members, that concludes the leader's statement. We will now move to the next item of business.
Need to come back and just formally move and second.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, there's the outstanding proposal from Councillor Jones, which I'm willing to second. I forgot what it was now. Go on, tell me. It was right. Oh, it's of course the right to the Secretary of State, of course, again. Yes, vitally important. We've gone right the way through the plan and got to the end and forgot to move the actual representation. So it is that I'm looking at the Chief Executive, we're right to do that, that I write to the Chief Executive and proposed by Councillor Jones, and I'm willing to second that if Mr. Councillor Jones is happy with that, and we move to a vote on that.
Okay, can we move to a vote then, please? All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Members, that concludes the leader's statement. We will now move to the next item of business. Members, the next substantive item of business is the reports of the chairs of the regular committees. This is the agenda item number 10. The reports can be found on pages 9 and 10 of your supplementary agenda. Written reports are attached for the Licensing and Public Protection Committee and the Audit and Standards Committee. The report from the chair of the Planning Committee has been tabled this evening. These reports are here for information and noting. Please can the reports be received? Thank you. Members, the next agenda item is item 11. Members, questions I've received, 2 questions for the leader and cabinet members. These can be found on pages 11 of your supplementary agenda. As each question is posted on the screens, I will ask the leader or the relevant cabinet member to respond. The member asking the question may then ask a supplementary question. Could I remind members that if they have a supplementary question, it must be a question and not a statement. It must be concise, focused, and relate to the subject matter of the initial question and answer. The first question is from Councillor Richard Gorton regarding Newcastle-under-Lyme's Civic Society.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is as follows. Does the leader stroke portfolio holder agree that the revival of Newcastle-under-Lyme Civic Society would be an appropriate way of marking the borough's 850th anniversary celebrations? Please could he report the action the council has taken or proposes to take to encourage the relaunch of the Civic Society? Thank you.
Councillor Tagg, your response, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the question. I think, as I said earlier, the 850 has been a tremendous year. We've had a programme of 47 talks, film shows, concerts, over 5,600 residents where I've come to 3 special exhibitions showcasing people within the borough, 44,000 visitors to the museum, and 3,200 visitors to celebrate the Castle Medieval Day in Brampton Park in 2023. We've had a Tri-Services Day that wrapped around 850. We've had the Astley Homecoming, we've had a Jazz and Blues weekend, and of course the Britain in Bloom triumphs as well. And it's inspired all local organisations in the borough, such as the Scouts, such as the Tri-Services, as I've already mentioned, all coming together to help us. The college involved through the Performing Arts Centre, and also we had the Astley Astounding Adventure return to the new Vic. As part of our 850 celebrations. Of course, the Philip Astley, the father of the modern circus. We also introduced our local Heroes Awards, recognising 3 local people, and we hope to bring them back in the future. It's all about legacy we've talked about, haven't we? We talked about having an annual lecture called the Chris Malkin Lecture. That's going to go forward. We're looking to get a Queen Victoria statue in Queen's Gardens. We've been putting art in the subways, which everybody will have seen. And also we're ending the year with a time capsule, which will be opened in 2073. Hope to see you all there for the opening of that. And we've also got commemorative mugs, plates. And also this last Saturday, we opened and launched the official commemorative book, which is a collaboration with a local author about the history of the market from 1835. And I was pleased to do the foreword for that. So a lot's going on. And lots still to do. And I think, thank you for raising the issue with the Civic Society. And I think it's something, as I've pointed out through that, the people that have become now involved in our town more, both residents, visitors, and all of the organisations and groups, what we need to do is bring them all together and see if they will, join in us in relaunching the Civic Society. And I'd welcome a Councillor Gorton being involved in that as well, and any councillors as well, to relaunch that. And I think it's something we pledged to do, and we will do that, and hopefully with a lot of involvement from members and others as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. Councillor Gorton, do you have a supplementary question? No. Thank you. The next question is from Councillor Andrew Parker regarding rough sleepers. Councillor Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And my question is to the portfolio holder for community safety and well-being. Can the portfolio holder please update the council as winter approaches on the work being carried out to reduce rough sleepers in the town centre, and how many rough sleepers were there at the last count?
Thank you. Councillor Heason.
Thank you, Councillor Parker. On the last rough sleeper count that took place on the 16th of November, we had 10 rough sleepers. What we do through the winter, particularly for rough sleepers, we utilise St George's Chambers on Merrill Street as a night shelter. That runs from the 1st of November to the 31st of March 2024, and that's when the Severe Weather Emergency Protocol, the SWEP, is active. That gets instigated when the temperatures hit 0 or below on a single night or in extreme weather conditions. Brighter Futures monitor the weather report and share with the rough sleeper team and myself, and the decision, basically, Crystal. I think it's working again now. Crystal Aldami, one of the officers, makes the decision to instigate. I alluded to it earlier in the leader's statement that we have received funding from the Shared Prosperity Fund to develop a homeless accommodation hub. And as I said earlier, we are looking at options. At the moment, we haven't got a particular building that I can say we're going forward with, but hopefully that will come in the future.
Thank you, Councillor Heason. Councillor Parker, do you have a supplementary question?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Heason, do you know if any of them are ex-armed forces personnel?
Councillor Heaton. I'll switch mine off.
Right, I'm having problems with my microphone, sorry. No, we don't have any. We have, obviously we do look at that because we are veteran friendly and supportive, and we don't have any.
Thank you. Members, agenda item 12 is our next item to receive petitions from members. I have not been made aware of any to be handed in this evening. Members, agenda items 13 and 14 relate to urgent business and confidential business. I have no urgent or confidential business that needs to be considered this evening. That therefore concludes the business for this meeting, and I therefore declare the meeting closed. I'd just like to say, if you would like to stay behind for tea or coffee and refreshments and some lovely mince pies from Stephen Sweeney and Councillor Tagg.